Welcome back to the Berean Preterist. My name is Richard Eckhart. Today is September 13th, 2019. When we talk about Gnosticism, we're talking about knowledge. Gnosticism is something that we could essentially say is Knowledgism. We get the word knowledge from the word Gnostic. And when we look at all religions besides Christianity, all religions, besides the one true religion, which is Christianity, we are looking at Gnosticism. Now there's a strict form of the word Gnosticism as it relates to the first few centuries after the Lord Jesus Christ and his death and burial and resurrection, and as it pertains to Greek and Roman philosophy prior to Christ. So Gnosticism is a religion per se, but in a generic way. When we look at Gnosticism, we are looking at Knowledgism, which is not a word, by the way. Knowledgism is just a euphemism, if you will, for Gnosticism when you boil it down to what Gnosticism truly is. So when we look at Buddhism, or Taoism, or all of the other religions, whether it's Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, they are all based on knowledge and attaining knowledge. The idea behind attaining knowledge for a release, if you will, for being set free, is that you can gain more and more knowledge, and by study and diligently and intently studying and gaining more knowledge about any particular philosophy or philosophy in general, even as a degree, if you will, as a doctorate. This idea of attaining knowledge for release. When we look at social ills, or we look at psychological hurt, or emotional pain, or whatever else you want to look at that goes along with our personal life in the world that we live in, which is very much tangible and physical. We obviously have a physical flesh body, a personal physical flesh body. So this idea of having a release of pain and suffering and hurt and everything else that goes along with living in the world that we live in, which is tangible and physical. The idea behind this release or being set free is knowledge. You attain to knowledge. And like I said, every other religion besides Christianity is about gaining knowledge. Now, when we look at what God the Father did with his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, God became flesh. God became one of us human beings in a biological, physical flesh body. And God's redemption and reconciliation plan is carried out through the Lord Jesus Christ. And if you were to say to someone, if you were to minister the gospel, if somebody is hurting or if somebody is puffed up in knowledge, and it could just be someone who is radically liberal, progressive, communist, if you will, and you get to talking with them and you say, look, I know that you have a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, but I need to tell you that Jesus died for your sin, which will not go over well with a liberal or progressive or communist, or a Jehovah's Witness. Actually, it would go over well with them because they alter the definition of Jesus dying. So there's a lot of cults that use Christian language. But if you talk to a Buddhist or anybody else that would not recognize Jesus as having to go to the cross for some reason, they would not go along with this idea that the Lord Jesus Christ died for your personal sin. And when you say Jesus died, there's only one death that Jesus died that was a propitiation death unto God that satisfied God. It was his biological, physical, flesh body death. There's no such thing as that biological, physical, flesh body death of Jesus pointing to anything that was a spiritual death of Jesus. It doesn't exist. There's only one death that Jesus died. And it has to do with why God sent his son to be among us, which is why Christianity is differentiated from every other religion. So I wanted to point out that Gnosticism is knowledgism. And when you get into scholars, even those who claim to be religious Christian scholars, they love this idea that there is more and more knowledge that they can attain to be more effectual within what I would say is a cultural pseudo-Christianity. So you got to be careful for those who call themselves scholars and are learned and educated. It does not mean that they are saved. So if you attach yourself to a teacher, you could be in for a lot of trouble who claims to have some type of authority within Christianity. So Gnosticism is knowledgism. Stay away from it. Be blessed in the name of God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Peace.